very often the smartphone we've got today is more powerful than the PCs we had 5 years ago, and things change. When you look at the iPad processing power chart, if you just trend it, it will reach the processing power of a gaming console today, the PS3 and the Xbox. We're able to digitize the content, store it, but today it's very difficult to move it around. And that's where the promise of fiber, if you want, is to be able to, all the cloud promise that we've had in the market. And now we're starting to see it in getting into the consumer. From the very early days, we realized video will be making or breaking the business case for NBN. Because if we don't have video on the NBN, well, we won't be any close to repay what we're spending today. And that's really a given. And luckily, all the forecasts are pointing to the right direction. All the usage behavior are pointing to the right direction. And all the devices that are being launched are pointing to that. So that's a trend that we are following very closely. We're starting to see slowly a growth in IPTV both from Fetch and Telstra with their T-Box. And what's interesting is the gap. And when you speak to players like Hulu or Netflix who are very advanced in their over-the-top services, or even Google and ABC as well, you realize that what's important for these players when they're looking at international countries, it's the content cost, how much does it cost, the gap between pay TV and broadband penetration, and also the broadband speeds. And those are the three factors that are really important for over-the-top players. So if IPTV doesn't take off, over-the-top will get there anyway. And as was suggested earlier, it will be a blend of services anyway, and there will be a role for all these services. Anyway, so getting down to NBN, last Friday we launched multicast. So that was an interesting process that we've been through for the last, let's say 2 years. I'm assuming everybody understands multicast. It's a one-to-many over an IP network, and it's really replicating a broadcast technology, really on an IP network in an efficient way. So if you compare the opportunities and challenges, well, it gives us an IPTV reach and choice of IPTV services, and you probably won't need any qualification tool whether you can receive IPTV in your home. Today, if you want to subscribe to a Fetch TV or an IPTV service, you need to be qualified, because if you live very far from your exchange, well, if you get 1 meg service, you won't be able to get it. You get some quality of service because it's on a dedicated access circuit. We only send through the network only the currently viewed channel. And also what's interesting is by the join and leave, we can access the log, and that's provided of all the audience measurements of who is joining and leaving channels. That could change as well the way we are, at the moment, the audience, that numbers we get are all based on samples, and joining and leave could provide a very accurate patterns of people, what do they do when they watch a show, and so on. If you look at the challenges, well, the challenges is, at the moment, the way the product is constructed is you can only access the multicast service if you are an RSP, if you are a broadband provider. So it's a service that it's an addition in addition to the existing broadband provider. So it's a one-to-one relationship. Another big challenge is the fact that we have to deal with 121 POIs. So just in Sydney, you have about 20 points of interconnect. So you would think, so that's a challenge, because obviously the cost is much higher. It's harder work, basically, instead of having 10 or 15. And the challenge is it's only for live broadcasting. It's not solving, multicasting does not solve everything to everybody. It's really distant for very high volume of live sports, like last weekend, final of the AFL or NRL, and free-to-air, and some very highly viewed channels. On the other hand, over-the-top is pretty much a free-for-all. Anybody can enter the market. It's a very low barrier to entry. You need to have, you can have linear TV, you can have the quality of service obviously is not a dedicated bandwidth, so it's on fiber. That shouldn't be as much an issue if you don't stream very high bitrate. And it eats up into the data allowances, which is becoming less an issue. When started to talk 200 meg, you wouldn't stream very long videos. But these days now, you're starting to have a lot more. And also, over the top can leverage potential global scale. When you have an iTunes or an Apple or Google, when they launch a product, they can leverage all the product development costs into their apps, into each devices across a high number of users, which is probably a good scale. Challenge is around CDN. And this is where we are. So we're just beginning to get some scale. So we are getting into some scale from December onwards. We have about 30,000 premises live or that can access the service on fiber, on brownfield fiber. On top of that, you have the greenfield, but that's where we're getting. And it's like a big sausage factory. It's it's a challenge ahead. So it's a good time to think about it because we are not the NBN is not changing really the market today, but it's a good time to start to think about it. Thank you.